And then
Can you get some in?
so
Make sure everything's in filming.
yeah, I heard that. So I've seen her. Now I see the last time her doctor, she's a nurse practitioner. What's wrong? It's very wrong.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started so that we can get on with our business. We know that everybody's still eating, but we're just gonna move on with that. So I'd like to call the meeting to order and let the record show that we have a quorum of board members present. Moving on to item 2, prayer and the pledge.
Will you please stand for the prayer and Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time you've given us to come together and for the opportunity to serve our community. Lord, we ask that you will bless this food and cleanse it to the nourishment of our bodies, and we ask that you will give us discretion and foresight and understanding in making decisions. We pray that you will give us compassion toward those we lead and serve. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On
the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to move on to our action agenda, item A, the discussion and action of the unexpired term and vacant trustee position in single member District 2. So as everybody knows, at our last meeting, we accepted Monique's resignation with great reluctance, but she has decided to pursue other interests. And as much as we would like to have kept her in our fold, it was time for her to move on. And we have to fill that seat. So do we have any discussion on filling OC? So we have a former board member living in the community who has expressed an interest in filling that vacancy. Mike served on the board for one term, and from my personal opinion, did an exceptional job working with us. And if there's no objections, I'd like to move that we appoint Mike Feller to the unexpired term for single member District 2. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Mr. Massengale. Any discussion? No. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Feller, welcome to the board.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good luck. My first term was short, but I learned a lot. Enjoyed serving with everybody, and we had some trying times. And I look forward to working with you. Hopefully, we don't have those trying times again. But that we can move forward and move the district forward to where we need to be in the coming years. So thank you for your support and your confidence in me.
Well, we appreciate your willingness to step up and serve the community. So it is an exceptional pursuit and serving our community and our city. So would you like to introduce your guest to us?
My guest is my wife, Annette. We've been married 39 years. And we had 3 children go through the district. Tim graduated in 1998, Michael graduated in 2000, and Alicia graduated in 2005. Tippy went on to graduate from TLU. Michael took a year and a half of school in Mount Vernon, Iowa. He lettered his first year in football, which was pretty amazing. And then he decided, as we have, when I was on board before, not all kids are cut out to go to college. He decided it was not his. So he is now, he pursued an interest in Union Pacific, and he worked his way up, so he is now an engineer for Union Pacific Railroad. Alicia graduated from Texas A&M, College Station, and so she has pursued horticulture as her degree, and but right now she's working for a jeweler, and looks like they're working with her to manage the business. So it's a different line of off of horticulture. But, she's
You never know where life's gonna send you.
4 grandkids. Michael's got 1 girl. Tempe's got 2 boys, and Alicia's got 1 girl with another one on the way. So.
Awesome. Well,
And we're looking forward to seeing all of them a little bit more. So,
there you go. Okay, well, welcome to the Feller family, Dollar family, again. We're glad to have you here.
You mentioned you was on the board. What years was that?
2000 and 2003.
2003. Okay. Are you still in the workforce or retired?
I'm still in the workforce,
Okay.
looking to retire, Lord willing, April of next year. And so,
All right. Well, welcome to the board.
thanks, sir.
All right, our next agenda item B is discussion and action of the new elementary school name. And for this particular item, I'm going to turn the floor over to Mr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. We had a committee meeting on June 20th, or last month, June 20th, 2017, to name the new school, the elementary school in St. Henrik. In attendance was Mr. Mulkey and I, as board members. School principal of the new school would be Darlene Gorham. Community leaders also in attendance was Chrissy Fankoviak, Dwayne Padalecki, Mike Stowalski, Gender Friesenhan, and one of the students, which was Chloe Friesenhan. So after a brief introduction of everybody and gave a little bit of their history to the district, if they went to school, whatever, we broke out into small groups, groups of 3. And everyone in their groups had their own discussion and wrote down names of the schools that they particularly, thought of. So after that brief discussion, about 10 or 15 minutes, I think, came back together, and Ms. Colas wrote up the names on the whiteboard there in the boardroom, not the boardroom, the conference room. And we narrowed it down to 4 names. The 4 names that we narrowed it down to were Greenview, Cottage Hill, St. Hedwig, and Tradition. So after a little discussion about those 4 names, about why this, that, and the other on those 4 names, we had, I believe it was 3 different votes. And out of the last 2 votes, well, out of all 3 votes, the top 2 were Tradition and St. Hedwig, with Tradition being the top vote getter on all of the votes that were tallied, being a popular vote, a blind vote. So with that, I don't know if anybody has any questions or.
Just curious, on the tradition, based on what?
Based on pretty much, it was unanimous almost, that Tradition represented the community, represented the district, was along the lines of what the prior 2 schools, be of heritage and legacy. It goes along with that theme. It goes along, Tradition goes along with that community out there. They're, very prideful people, great standing community. The district has a lot of traditions in itself, as you can see on these walls. So I think it was a good fit, and I think most of everybody there thought it was a good fit. Wanted to stay away from naming it after any one individual or one individual family. That's too polarizing, so that's why.
Well, I was just curious, but I see the line, with the flow on it, and
Yeah.
that's fine, I don't have a problem. I'm just curious, because the other ones had names, and now I'm just, wow, okay. But now I see the line slide. Very good.
James, you have anything that, you were there?
Yeah. We kind of went along with some of the similar things that, he mentioned, about the tradition and, thanks for that, was, the second run of it. So we voted in with the community, and with one of the students that were there and their parents, and they kind of came up with, tradition, saying that they want us to bring that back to the board, to choose out one of those two.
You wanted to discuss with Mr. Mulkey about what the concerns were about naming it St. Hedwig? That they're-
Well, some issues came up about St. Henry, with being, a public school. I don't know how it was said, related to the Catholic faith or not, I don't know. That would be a big issue at all, by naming it St. Henry. Since it was, you got St. John's out there, you got those, mostly Catholic schools have St. behind it, so I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't want anybody else to, question that, because it is a public school, so that's something to think about,
I think that the fact that it's Saint anything, that you're talking about the town, to me, that's what you're looking at. I never associated with St. George, it's just St. Edward, because of the town, until you brought it up, it didn't occur to me that there would be a question about the association with religion. To me, it's just association with the city, the city, the town, however you want to call it, because it's in that region. To me, that would be acceptable.
Well, that came from some of the community leaders that actually live in the community. That's what they were concerned.
They're close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, we didn't have a problem with it as a board, but when you take that to the community, I don't know, they might accept it and they might not question it at all.
Yeah.
So it's something that we can think about.
Yeah, but since they brought it up, I can understand, they're closer to the pulse of the area, so it makes sense.
So were these, you said these names were given by everyone, committee?
Well, the committee,
They had some input?
we broke out into
Yeah.
groups, and each group came back with a name or two names or whatever. And, all of those names that just kind of narrowed it down to two names, We don't want to bring 5 names to the
Right.
board, we just
Yeah.
want to bring 2 and make the board choose one or the other. The way I'm understanding it from what the chairman said, because we had about 4 names, and some of them was pretty popular. I was really sold on that green leaf, but we had to go with whatever the committee wanted to.
So there was a committee member in each group? I'm assuming?
Yeah, there was.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was
What we did is we broke down into groups of 3. And then in those groups of 3, who was with you, Mr. Mike Skowalski?
Right.
And I can't remember the other one, but anyway, we had index cards. And everybody wrote down top 2 names that they were thinking, or 3 names that they were thinking on the index card. And we handed them over to Ms. Colas, and Ms. Colas took a list and wrote everyone down and seeing how many names that were overlapped. And then we eliminated the ones that were individual names, and then we came up with the top 4, which was Cottage Hill, Greenview, St. Hedwig, and Tradition. And then from there, we had, I think, another 2 or 3 votes. And every time, Tradition coming up on top. So,
And just what you said, some of the people that said exactly what you said, that they didn't associate St. Hedwig's with Catholic or what other religion, not, but so they made the same point. So I'm not trying to discourage you by saying from saying that, but that was discussed.
anything else?
Anybody else? Another question? Comment? Okay.
All right.
Motion for us?
Mr. President, I move to name the elementary school in St. Hedwig as Tradition Elementary.
We have a motion for Mr. Massengale to name the new elementary school Tradition.
Second.
by Mr. Feller. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. You can start writing the name to the school.
Sir.
Yes, sir. All right. Our next agenda item is discussion and action on naming the Performing Arts Center.
Back a minute.
Okay.
She's not aware of the new board member.
Oh,
The second
okay.
new board.
I'm sorry, in your absence.
I apologize.
We have not, yeah, well, we all have to go and put food on the table. Thank you
Yes,
very
we
much.
Some more than others.
But we did name an individual to finish the unexpired time for unexpired term for Roe, and that's Mike Keller. And he's our new board member, and I put his name on your sheet.
Yes, thank you. Nice to meet you.
That's the one who's second the motion.
Okay, yeah, I got this one.
He wasn't just second, he was the board member. He was a guest, I guess. She just thought you was a guest second.
She was thinking, hey, you need to eat.
Sorry, I'm Don Richards.
You heard there was certain stuff, I'm coming to eat.
Yeah, but that's a good question.
Sorry, now I know.
It's okay, my fault. I should have brought you up to speed. So anyway, Claudia, Mike Feller.
Nice to meet you, Mr. President.
So now we have agenda item C of discussion and action on naming the Performing Arts Center. We're going to have this wonderful new building out at our high school, and it would seem appropriate that we would name that for someone who's been significantly involved in performing arts over the last few years in the district. We've had a number of people who have been involved in our Performing Arts Center, but from my perspective, I can't think of anyone who was a greater champion of that or who improved those programs more than Gary Patterson. So it would be, I'll just say it, I move that we name the Performing Arts Center at the high school, the Gary Patterson Center for the Performing Arts, and that this facility be used to honor former students who perished in the line of duty with the armed forces or the police or fire departments.
I second.
So I have that motion. We have a second by Mr. Mastigator. Do we have any discussion?
Does Mr. Patterson know yet?
No, Mr. Patterson does not know.
When are we gonna notify him? I mean, that's pretty cool.
We don't often tell folks what we're,
Don't text him right now. I would text him, I'll contact
It's kind of been my practice that we not tell people what we're going to do because we're a body of seven, and until we meet and take a vote, it really hasn't happened. So up until this moment, we've not had a motion for a second. We still don't have a vote, so it still hasn't happened. And my next statement here is that we need to have some discussion about this. Are there any comments, any concerns, any questions?
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's awesome, and this is his birthday month. I know that because we have the same birthday. So what a great birthday present!
Belated birthday present.
Yes.
All right. Any other comments?
Question on the honoring of the deceased. Will there be plaques affixed to the building or
I think,
papers, but, or
Yeah.
just the fact, just saying in honor of?
I think from my perspective, what I would like to ask the district to do is to make a wall of honor, so to speak. I don't know what that looks like, but we have some great people on staff who can come up with that. to see what it looks like, but it certainly, unfortunately, is going to need to be expandable. Sure. I think we all know that. It's just the nature of the business, if you would, of people who go into the military or serve as first responders, either in the police or the fire department. We've had a couple of instances, this last month where we've lost some policemen and firemen. That hadn't happened in 20 years. And as a matter of fact, the one preceding the last one was one of our residents, Jesse Berger was the last fireman who fell in the line of duty. His wife worked for us, his daughter worked for us. He lived down on McKay, McAway. Lived out on McAway Road. So I knew Jesse very well. He and I went to high school together. So we just know that particular spot in that building is going to have to be expanded.
I think that's where my question was kind of leading in that direction, because of the fact that life being what it is, we regrettably will have in the future.
So I wouldn't see it as being ostentatious.
Sure.
It's not designed for that, but, a small plaque with a name and maybe their service and, of course, when they were issued. But I think better to leave that to staff.
Oh, absolutely.
Let them,
That's what I was just
I'm
asking.
sure that they'll bring us some just conceptual ideas.
Just kind of saying in honor of, or actually having it where they would be identified. And
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
probably,
We'll work with the design team and come up with a couple of options, run it by you guys, see what you think.
don't have a problem.
Incorporate it.
I was just asking in that direction.
So we have a motion to name the Performing Arts Center Gary Patterson Center for the Performing Arts. We have a second for that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, if you want to. You are a public relations person.
I am.
Let's see what we'll do. All right, our next agenda item is Heritage Middle School and Oakcrest Intermediate School change order for asphalt project.
Sir, Mr. President, trustees, you'll recall last month you guys approved a contract for JR site work to complete asphalt projects at Heritage and Oakcrest in the bus circle, as well as at South Campus, along with the transportation facility. While initiating the work in Oakcrest and Heritage, the contractors realized that the subgrade was too shallow and that it needed to be filled. And so there was more work than they had anticipated, so they brought that to our attention. And so per policy, any change orders of this nature would need to be brought back to the board for your consideration and approval. So at this time, I'd like for Mr. Selby to go ahead and review the nature of that work and the nature of the change order for us to consider.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Toscano. Board members, as Mr. Toscano indicated, we had actually taken a contract to you for your review and consideration that you approved at the April board meeting. That contract included for the most part, most areas were just going to need to be crack sealed, seal coated, and restriped, such as a good portion of the areas around Heritage and Oakcrest, but the bus circle did have some failure, and we were going to go ahead and redo that. But that job was really not to replace all the base, because the assumption was that the base was still good. And so you may be familiar with how that asphalt is done, but you go in and do your site work and get it at the right grade, and then you dig it out if it's brand new, and then you build it up with select fill, and either use what they call geogrid, which is material that can be used in place of certain levels or amounts of base, and which provides additional strength and flexibility to that foundation. And then build the base on top of that, then you put asphalt on top of it, and then you seal it and stripe if you need to. When they went in there and started peeling off the old asphalt that had been failing, what they found was over half of that area didn't have the appropriate level of base, and that's why it was failing. Now, it lasted almost 20 years, so it wasn't like it was just a total failure. But instead of going back in and trying to just put asphalt on top of that, which we knew would result in the asphalt failing again over a period of time, we asked for proposals for taking the old base out and redoing the bus circles so that it was a long-term fix or repair on that. And so I believe you may have attached in your paperwork, but you have 3 different options that were presented to us. One was to just redo the sub-grade material with a kind of a select fill and 6 inches of that, and flowable fill actually, which was like $86,163. We could have gone back in with all concrete, which would have lasted longer than probably not only our lifetime, but probably our children's lifetime, we would hope. But that was $101,446. And the option that we are presenting to you for your consideration this evening was to actually go in, take the subgrader that base out and the old geogrid out and build it back up with 14 inches of base, not use the geogrid, and then asphalt on top of that. That's actually cheaper than doing the geogrid, less base, based on the time that it would take and the labor involved. So the contractor provided that option because that was the best fix for the least amount of money. And so that was $69,853. Mr. Toscano indicated that under CR local, that any change order that is in excess of $50,000 would either need to go to the board or the board designee. And since the board has not provided a designee, we're coming to you for consideration of this request. And so if you would like to, we are recommending that we go ahead and work with JR Sitework, who's the contractor on board. We've reviewed these options with CDS Murray Services, the civil engineer that's on the project, and they've recommended this third option of a $69,853 price tag. And we would like your consideration and hopeful approval of this tonight so we can continue with the project. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Question? Is this in addition to what was approved back in April?
Yes. And we had $35,000 in contingency in there. If it would have been less than the $35,000, we wouldn't have had to come back to you because you'd already approved that as part of the contract. But since it's greater than that and greater than $50,000, that's why we're coming back.
They're just gonna do the circle?
Just going to do the circle, yes. Because right now, that's the only place that's failed. Everywhere else, if there's any problems, it's very small. You just do a little patchwork or crack seal it, and then go back in with the seal coat and where appropriate, restructure. So we're going to read the scope of that contract was to, at Heritage at Oak Crest, was replace that bus circle with asphalt, which now will need to require replacing the base as well. But also crack seal and do any patchwork where needed, and then seal coat and restripe the whole parking lot at Oak Crest and Heritage. So it'll all be done. At the bus garage, there were several areas of where that asphalt, after I'm assuming it was at least 40 years of asphalt, has just begun to fail. So we're actually going back in and redoing the asphalt there. The base right now, they've done half of it again by there. They had them go ahead and move on to keep that going. They tore off half of that, and the base is fine there. They're going to come back in and put asphalt back on there, and then restripe there, and then they'll go over. We'll flip-flop the buses, do the other half. Where there was major traffic and problems up in the front by the fueling stations, we replaced that asphalt with concrete, and they've already done that. There's an area back behind the tennis courts at Heritage that had a washout from the drain, water going through. We repaired that and put a concrete drain in there so that it flows through and doesn't wash out anymore. And then we have a small area in front of, on that east side of the south campus that has some serious potholes that we're going to tear out, patch, and redo, and seal coat, restructure. So that's the scope of the project, but this one, this part, because of the unknown condition underneath the asphalt, has come up that it's really is a significant amount of additional work.
And all this was unknown. What did we approve on the bid and maybe?
Just what I described, the work at the
cost.
Oh, 500. Had that memorized, but I wrote it down.
Okay.
I forget.
Yeah.
$583,163,
Okay.
which was, quite honestly, about $100,000 less than what we had projected as far as cost.
For its cost, okay.
So if you want to consider it like my wife does with the red apple cells at Josky's, we're getting a real bargain. But it's still
Okay. So that
But
bid
still,
was under cost, so
we're having to pay.
with this 69, so we still have to call $100,000. And all you're describing to us now is unknown to the folks.
The condition of the base underneath that asphalt at the bus turnaround or loop, bus loop there was not, we knew it was failing, we didn't know why. We thought that maybe water had actually gotten underneath. That's usually the reason, and compromise the integrity of the base. It's usually what happens when you see that spider webbing or cracking in the asphalt. It's usually because water has somehow gotten underneath the asphalt and compromised the base or foundation.
So have we normally had a designee appointed to construction
Yeah,
projects?
because we don't often have change orders.
Yeah.
Not of that size, because we usually have that built also into the contract. Because it takes, to get this to the board, and that's why I had them move from there over to the bus garage. And with the special board meeting coming up, we can kind of expedite this, but otherwise it'd be a month before we can come back to you. So it's not like we're trying to keep you out of the loop, but it just really does impact the schedule. If we had to come to you for every change that we had, normally they aren't $50,000 per year.
So I think Claudia's comment brings up the subject that we ought to approach at a different time about maybe making a change to that. And I don't know what that change looks like, whether it's just an increase in that value or whether it's a percentage of the contract or what that amounts to. But let's, y'all think about that and bring something to us that we can fix this with. Because we certainly don't need to stop some of our projects. Although calling a special board meeting is no big deal, but again, that takes us 72 hours and sometimes that might be a problem as well. So think about that and bring something to us here shortly that we can use. Correct? No? Any other questions?
Will they be able to get it done on time?
Yes, sir. Assuming it doesn't start raining for some reason, but that doesn't seem to be a problem. That's the other reason I wanted to keep it going, because if it did rain with that all opened up, it just creates more work. We have to get that all dried out and dig it out even more.
Might have to put some pontoon boats in or something like that. We can do that if we have the rain.
Yeah, it's not a problem, I think.
Any other questions? All right.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for the change order, the JR site work, in the amount of $69,853 for improvements in bus drop-off, pickup area, Heritage, and Oak Crest.
We have a motion by Mr. Fuller to accept the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a second? Second. All right, second by Mr. Mulkey. I'm sorry?
Gosh.
I'm sorry. I apologize. That's what he said. All right. So we have a recommendation by the superintendent, we have a motion by Mr. Feller, we have a second by Mr. Garza. Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, with that business out of the way, we can move on to what we really came here for tonight, and that's our budget workshop.
Yes, sir, trustees, in your packet, if you'll shuffle through there, you'll find a presentation appropriately named ECISD budget workshop for 17-18. At this time, our CFO, Ms. Judy Burns, will go through the budget presentation with the board, and we'll certainly answer any questions the board has at this time.
Now, would y'all like to see it on the screen, or y'all want to just go through the handout that you have? It would be the same, so you tell me how you would like to see it.
You want it on the screen?
Whatever makes it quick.
While Miss Judy's getting ready, just remind the board for just a moment that what we're doing tonight is presenting where we're at with the budget, making recommendations for your consideration, you have to take an action to approve it tonight. If you'll recall last special meeting, because of the special session, there's an issue with the timeline of our board budget approval. So we will have a special meeting at the end of August. Hopefully the special session is done and we have decisions made about mandatory teacher pay increases, unfunded, of course. And at that point, then hopefully we'll be able to approve a budget that complies with any new legislation. So we'll be approving this tonight, as is the case usually, but we will be presenting you with the budget with regard to where we are this time.
Well, thank y'all for your time. And before we get started, I'd like to introduce somebody that's going to be a valuable member of our team. As most of y'all know, before Jim retired, it was always Jim and Judy. We were kind of like the Sonny and Cher of the finance field. Well, when Jim retired this last year, he was still help if I needed it, but it's been mainly Judy. And so Roland has been very gracious and kind of understood that I needed to share my knowledge and everything with somebody else. And so Donna Samarczyk, who's been working for the district, is going to be the business manager. And she's going to assist me. And that way, if for some reason I can't be here on a certain day at work, I can make sure the payroll's going to happen. I can make sure the transfers are going to happen. So it's really a relief to me, and I appreciate Roland's understanding that we needed another person in our office. And I appreciate all of y'all for understanding the need for Donna. So now it's going to be Judy and Donna. Thank y'all for that. Okay, I'll start off with this board budget workshop, and I will tell you one thing. This is the leanest budget that I have done in many years. I always was able to do a push. A lot of people didn't know I had a little push, but there's so many things that happen. You almost always have to have a little push because somebody needs something, somebody wants something. So if there's a really of a need. But this next year, there's not very much push. I have whittled it down to what we could do and have a balanced budget. I feel very good about this budget. I feel that all of our budget stewards have done an outstanding job of doing what they really need. The schools were very good about their budget. We did increase the schools' budget because Mr. Toscano and I could see that they were struggling on some of the items that they needed to purchase. So we did increase the school's budget. The departments were very good about staying within budget. And I really appreciate all of them watching the money that they need to do. But there was a few things we needed to do, so we have been able to do that. So we can go ahead and start on this. And what we're talking about now is just the general operating budget. It's not the total budget that will be presented to you in August sometime. It's just the general operating. And it's estimated revenues and expenditures for the 17-18 school year. And our fiscal year is always September 1 to August 31st. There are other districts that do July 1st through the end of June, which works for them. But when you have a year like you have this year with the legislature, it's kind of scary to think you're starting your fiscal year July 1st and you have no idea what the legislature is going to do to you. So our budget is made out of revenues and expenditures, and the budget is based on estimated revenues, but still need refinement once data is received from TPA. So we're hoping that we get that information within the next few weeks, but nevertheless, what we have, that we do have so far, I feel is very good. Expenditures are we're still kind of making adjustments, but I feel like most of the expenditures are correct. We will adjust for some payroll once we know who's been hired, how many years of experience. There's always adjustments on that. Who takes health insurance, who doesn't take health insurance. So, but I think whenever we present it back to y'all, unless something major comes up, it's going to be a balanced budget. On revenue projections, our local revenue is going to be approximately $40 million, and our assessed taxable value is going to be $3,766 million. And what we did is very conservative, a 6.5 increase from what we have right now for assessed value. Last year, our assessed value went up by 18%. I don't want to use that again. I think we have to be conservative. So 6.5 is a conservative number we're using. We're using the collection rate that the county sets in the formula that they give us, which is 98.75. And our maintenance and operation tax rate will stay as $1.04, which is as high as we can go. Our state revenue is projected to total around $42 million. And that's based on an ADA of 9,612, which is a 2% increase of ADA from what we ended in the P 16-17, plus the 50 students for pre-K for SA. Federal revenue is projected to total a little over $1 million, and most of that money comes from our SHARS account. You know, that has been a saving grace for East Central SHARS account. The people in special ed, they work very hard to get that reimbursement, and it has really saved the district instead of going to fund balance. And our other resources, because we have Matt now, who wants to clean them up and sell them, which is great. So he has been doing some really unique auctions of selling equipment and items that we no longer need, or that's just been in storage or been in the way for a long period of time. So that's what will make up our revenue projections of $84 million and $12,155. Now, at the end of this month, we will get the certified value from Bear County. So we'll kind of see where we're at, if I'm a good number or if we need to refine it. So again, this is just showing you your local, your state, your federal, and your other, to tell you how much you have of $84 million. Now, this is one thing, is that local share now is 48.5%. The state is now down to 50%. Federal is 1.48 and other is 0.02. Last year, we were 56% of our revenue came from the state. Y'all don't want me to preach what I think about what the state does for school funding, but they take away it's called local fund assignment, and they take away so much from us what they set our value is. And in the last 2 years, they have taken away $9 million. So for us, that's enormous. And proposed tax rate, it'll be $1.04 for maintenance and operation. Interest and sinking, and this is with the bond sales and with the payments we're going to have for all our construction projects and all our bond sales. We're estimating that we will need to be 0.305. And I really feel like with Bowen's leadership and everything, I think we might even be able to lower that by another penny. The state used to give us IFA and ED money, and they even said we're awarded some for our bond sale last year. It's not going to happen. We're not going to get any IFA and EPA money at all. The only thing that we're going to get from the state is the whole harmless for the additional homestead, and that's going to be like $300,000, where last year they gave us $700,000. So little by little, they want your taxpayers paying for everything. But still, I think our tax rate, with all this construction and the sale of the bonds, and what we told the taxpayers, what potentially they might owe each month, I mean, for the tax year, is probably just gonna be $1.345, and we can go a little bit lower. And so if you think of that, we're really only gone up 8 cents, possibly, and I think we told them it could be 16 to 18 cents, so we feel like our taxpayers are really going to not be hurting so bad because we will be able to not tax so high. And we also believe that East Central will still be one of the lowest school tax rates in Dare County. Just looking at what we currently have, we'll be number 3 or number 4, the lowest. Expenditures, our estimated total expenditures is the same as our revenue, which is $84,001,1255. Now that does not include various ongoing improvements out of fund balance. This does include the softball field renovation, but what will happen in September, once we see where all the projects are and how much have been paid out from this last year, we'll come to y'all for a budget amendment to pay for the rest of the construction projects out of local maintenance. And approximately 83% of the district's payroll expenditures are related to payroll. And so we're proposing a salary increase for all full-time employees. Approximately 8% of our budget is to utilities and contracted services. And the remaining of the budget is for supplies, other operating expenses, and fixed assets. Okay, the salary package. This one is, we feel very pleased that we're able to at least give our employees some sort of raise. Would we want to do more? Of course, you always want to do more for your employees. But we feel like by giving a $1,000 increase, we will show our employees that we're trying to do the best we can. This also depends on what the legislature does. But the starting teacher salary will remain the same at $51,500. Staff also proposed a 1.5% midpoint for all exempt employees under the Fair Labor Standards Act, which is administrators. And the reason why we did the 1.5 instead of 2% is because we did not want, we wanted our teachers to know that they are our focus. If you give a 1.5% to administrators, then they're almost getting the same type of raise that teachers are. 2% would have made them have a much heftier raise than our teachers. But we wanted to also be good for our paraprofessionals and auxiliaries, so we're doing a 2% midpoint. And so they're going to get a little bit a higher midpoint raise than the administrators. Bus drivers are going to get $1.50 per route, and monitors will be $1 per standard route increase. Estimated salary increase is $1,090,000, and cost for the new positions is $1,260,000. On the new positions, we have 25 new positions. 19 of them are professional. 3 are instructional paras, 1 support para, and 2 auxiliary maintenance personnel. And then we're going to add something this year for our employees, is all auxiliary staff that work more than 230 days, who have been with the district consecutively for 10 years or more, will receive 1 more week of vacation. They'll get 3 weeks of vacation instead of 2 weeks. There are the additional is for 30 staff members. 15 of our employees have 20 years, 13 have 15 years and 12 have 10 years. So they'll be getting another week of vacation. That was something that they have been asking for the last few years. And then the next thing, all TRS eligible employees, including bus drivers and monitors, will receive 5 local sick days per year in addition to the state days per year. Right now, we're one of the very few districts that did not give all our employees 5 local days. And you have to give them 5 state. But we're one of the few districts that kind of said, okay, if you're in this position, you don't get any. You get 1, you get 2, you get 3. And we did a survey with our surrounding districts, and they all give 5 to their employees. And so that means all of our auxiliary, our paraprofessionals, child nutrition workers, bus drivers will receive 5 days. So they'll get 5 days staying, and they'll get 5 days local leave. And we feel like it's well deserved. I think it's very good morale booster for some of them to know that we think enough of them to give them those days. Our child nutrition workers, they only got 5 state. They got no local leave for all these years. And our bus drivers receive 5 state and no local. So we feel like this is a move in the right direction to our employees. And then the last thing that we're going to offer, and this is something that Golan has a real passion for, and I'm real pleased for this because I think this is going to help all of our employees, is that the district will be offering to all full-time employees and their spouses, children, the availability of telemedicine free of charge. So if you're sick and you have a cold, a sore throat, you can call the number and you can have a doctor prescribe medicine for you or work with you on what you need instead of having to go to urgent care or walk up clinic and pay $40 or whatever, especially with our insurance having such a high deductible. So I think Rose can talk some more about the telemedicine if you'd like to.
Yeah, so what we have found is that with TRS care being so expensive, it's out of reach for our hourly wage employees. For those who are the primary breadwinner making an hourly wage, by the time they paid for insurance for their family, they wouldn't have salary. And so we have a lot of employees who have no medical care for their family. We have no way to reduce those rates as the TRS member district. And so this was an option for us to provide telemedicine, which allows them to not only call in, but they can also video with a physician. And it's for any full-time employee and their dependents. And they get primary care. And we also have for every employee a discount pharmacy card. So they can get pharmaceuticals at a very reasonable rate. And so for an employee, let's just say a custodian who can't afford health care and they don't take TRS because they can't afford it and they have no primary care, they can call into this telemedicine for them, their wife, their children, and get primary care. Get a prescription called in, pay the discount price, and we just really feel for overall wellness of our employees and to take care of them and their families that this is a very cost-effective way to do that. We researched it the last couple of years, and it's a very minimal expense for what we're going to be able to provide for every employee. Those that have TRS care, depending on the plan that they have, could take advantage of telemedicine for a copay, or if they have the high plan, it would be free. But for those who have the high deductible plan, so they have the lowest premium cost, they don't have access to that, so they have to go pay a copay, etc. But now, every employee would have access to telemedicine. So they can call in, get a prescription called in, get their primary care taken care of. They don't have to leave work to go to the doctor. And again, they can get their wife and their children's primary care addressed as well. So it's less than $100,000 for 1,600 employees to benefit from. And so we just feel like it's a tremendous value. And so we made some adjustments in the budget to ensure that we could do that without sacrificing any major needs in the district.
And when is it effective?
It will be effective, we believe, September 1,
It's September 1.
assuming that we can approve the
That
budget.
is exciting. So does,
Mr. T, an employee can call and they will prescribe a medication without even seeing the,
So you have to set up your profile.
okay.
You will get a physician will contact you back, and depending on your profile and what your ailment is, if it's something other than primary care, then they're going to refer you elsewhere. But for generally primary care, sinusitis, skin issues, you can show the doctor what you're dealing with and the symptoms that you're having, and the PA or the nurse practitioner or the physician will prescribe something for you to try. They even have psychiatric counseling and some other services in addition that they can at least point you in the right direction or give you some initial treatment, some initial counsel. So it's a really fantastic benefit for all of our employees. And for those who have been sacrificing to pay for some level of health care for their family, if primary care is all they're interested in, they could conceivably be getting a significant salary increase while still having primary care for their family, because they wouldn't have to take that high deductible
Yeah, see,
TRS.
the benefit of something like this is that people won't not go to the doctor, not seek care because they can't afford it. On the front, and many nurse practitioners and PAs can go ahead and get them to and do treatments or whatever, and know when to refer for something else. So this is totally exciting. And the cost that the district is paying for this is just, you're investing in your people, and again, the type of wellness program is going to do really well. This is, our other districts, do we know if any other districts are doing this?
We learned,
How it's working.
I initially learned about it from Bernie ISD. They piloted something last year for their employees and got a tremendous response.
Yes.
Again, particularly from the non-exempt employees
Yeah.
who work for NIH. So we just felt like we needed to do some research, and we did this past year. So we've narrowed it down to 2 or 3 service providers. Telemedicine is the practice. Teledoc, for example, would be one service provider. So we haven't brought that recommendation yet, but we will before September 1 is our intention.
so does this
So
cover them,
you're kind of for it.
or, you said they don't have to have health insurance, so does it cover them? You know how if they don't carry insurance, they get penalized when they file their taxes, will it cover them?
It's not health insurance.
Okay, so, but still they have this available.
That's right.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
That's
It
what I
doesn't
figured.
count as health insurance.
That's what I figured, but I just want to make sure.
I think that's.
That's actually a really good question.
Yeah, it is.
I think they got rid of that provision in the tax code.
Did they? When?
Is it a
3 months.
limit?
Okay.
How many times you can call?
Unlimited.
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 That's good. Unlimited.
Unlimited.
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day.
Okay.
And in any state in the United States, the only thing is there's a few states that don't allow video. Texas was one of those until this session. So you could call in and describe your yeah. But now Texas, they did pass they allow video as well. So you can actually FaceTime with your physician and show them your issues, whatever those are.
And I guess one thing that we really need to point out, on the workplace surveys that happen every year they talk about the health benefits and they wish they could do more. Well, we wish we could do more, but there's not much we can do about TRS, and we cannot afford paying more premiums on part of the employees. That would be cost prohibitive. So we feel like this is a good way to show the employees that we're listening to you, we're trying to do the best for you with the resources that we have. And also to let you know, on the TRS eligible employees who's going to get the 5 extra days, that's going to affect 613 of our employees. So I think we're going to have 613 employees very happy that they are going to be treated the same way as the teachers are treated with their local leave. Okay, and so how do we pay for all this, and how much is it going to cost each different account?
Judy?
No,
Judy,
I'm sorry.
I have a question for you. On the salary package, is the 51.5 keeping us from hiring new teachers? Is that ceiling detrimental to our staffing?
We feel that it keeps us very competitive. We were in a top tier for starting salaries last year after our salary study. Polling our neighbors, many districts in the area are given no increase to include first-time teachers. Most districts are given either a 1 or 2% salary increase for teachers and not doing anything with the first year. So we feel like this is an opportunity for us to stay the pace, stay in our position at the top tier for recruiting new teachers, and not falling behind. So still keeps us competitive.
Yes, it keeps us very competitive with our area school districts. We all talk among each other in the school districts, and a lot of them are just like us. They're having a struggle with their enrollment because kids are going to charter schools, going to private schools, homeschool, and they're also having the same issues we are with children not wanting to go to school. And I know Roland is addressing that this next year with his leadership. But to give you an example, just because I felt good after I talked to Judson, we had lost 85 students, and I thought, she's like, oh my God, 85 students. They lost over 700. So, we're all facing the same battle. So we feel like the 1505, we're still doing good because some of our neighborhood school districts are not going to get a raise at all. But our payroll cost is over $69 million. Purchasing contracted, which is utilities, is a little over $6 million. Supplies and materials is a little over $5 million, and other operating expenses, which is insurance, travel, fees, dues, is 1.5. And our fixed assets, which includes a little bit of the construction of facilities, but it also includes buses. It also includes maybe some items that the career technique of a fixed asset is $1.3 million. So the total is $84 million, which matches exactly to what our revenue is going to be. And again, our payroll is almost 83% of this budget. As you can tell, the revenue is going to be $84 million, and the expenditures is going to be exactly the same. And so that means we're going to be a balanced budget, which I feel very good about. At the end of 15-16, for the audit, we had a $29 million fund balance, which, as you can see, every year it's gone up. This year for 16-17, even with all the construction projects we're doing, even with our enrollment being a little bit lower, we're still going to wind up with $24 million to $25 million fund balance. Our average is $7 million a month on what we spend. So that's a lot. If we come back with 24, 25, that means we still have 3.5 months of fund balance to use. We want to have at least 2.5, so we're still going to be good on our fund balance. And that will help to pay for what we're going to do next year.
So I'd like to just remind trustees, we see the change from 15-16 to 16-17 as we've entered our bond program. Our strategy, the strategy that the board had was to use $15 million out of fund balance towards the bond program and $86 million as the bond. So a little over $100 million scope that would cost the taxpayers $86 million. So this is now seeing the first year of that strategy, and our hope is that again, with the conservative budgeting and good fiscal stewardship, of course, managing the bond program very tightly, that we're still going to end up beyond that 2.5 months of operating dollars in fund balance as a minimum per policy, or better, by the end of this entire bond program. So we feel like we're on target after this first year with hitting that mark at the end of the bond program.
So in conclusion, this is just our first presentation. I feel like it will probably be very close to what we bring to y'all, unless the legislature does something different. So whatever happens, we will make sure it's a balanced budget for y'all. That's one of our goals. And we're still kind of working on the revenue and expenditures, and the proposed budget, the tax rate, and the salary schedule for 17-18 will be presented to the board at a board meeting in August. I didn't want to give a date because we don't know what the legislature is going to do, but it has to be before August 31st. And it's all depending on the special session of the Texas legislature. So if y'all have any questions?
You said the fixed assets portion of it included the buses. You looking at maybe buying some new ones or just keeping the old ones up?
No, we have to almost, we keep our old ones up, but we almost every year have to replenish them and get usually 5 to 6 new buses a year. Because some of our buses, I think, are 20 some odd years old, they can even be a little bit older. So once we quit going and replenishing each year, then eventually it catches up to you. And that happened to us a few years ago when we had to do major cuts. So now we try to make sure that we buy at least 5 buses, 4, 5, 6 buses a year, just to keep our fleet in good working order.
Got a maintenance vehicle or two in there as well. Flight fleet vehicle and possibly a police cruiser as well. Vast majority of that is vehicles, including buses.
It's on 1.3 million?
Pretty tight,
Yeah.
It's very tight.
but it's part of a replacement schedule that we've been on for several years, so we're not in catch-up mode. We're in.
And then when we buy buses, do we tag on to somebody else's proposal, or do we just set out a proposal for our own buses, our own set of 5 or 6?
We usually
Use
go
a
through the
block
buy
rate.
board,
Yeah.
Okay.
and we're able to buy them through the buy board. We already have gone through all the bidding process and have the best price for the district.
Okay.
And I believe that's how most of the school districts do that, is through the buy board.
Same thing with the police cruiser and stuff like that? Okay.
I know everything depends, well, not everything, but a lot depends on the special session. However, how aligned are we with, kind of going ahead with our budget? Do we expect something coming out of the special session that would really kind of derail what we've done and have to, are we pretty, whatever comes out of that, we're still gonna be okay in terms of being
Yes.
able, and
Yes.
not having to do a lot of extra.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. So in particular, it's the mandatory $1,000 salary increase for nurses, teachers, librarians,
Mhm.
which is already included in our
Right, I
budget.
know we talked about that.
So we're waiting for the language
Uh-huh,
out of statute
okay.
to ensure that that's what you're approving,
okay,
so that it doesn't end up needing to be on top of
Yeah.
that. That's what we're trying to avoid.
right, right.
So
And I
so long
understand-
as that happens,
Yeah, right,
Budget should
and I
be-
understand we have to say this because, but at the same time, but we were right on.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Good job.
As always.
Miss Judy?
It's normally reserved for the children who sing before they.
You don't want me to do that.
I didn't ask you to sing, Judy. I didn't ask you.
I was gonna say, you can call Judy and Donna.
As long as it's not Judy and Jim. No, they're more like Thelma and Louise, not the Jim.
It's a good distinction.
Like Thelma and Louise better anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, good news, a little bit of disappointing news, we still don't know what the legislature is going to do to us. Hopefully, whatever it is, they'll do it to us before the end of August, so that doesn't throw another major cake into this, and we have to do something else. But it looks like a good budget. We appreciate you bringing us a balanced budget, even with your disclaimer, and knowing that there may be something that's coming up. It always concerns me when we're so focused on that balanced budget, even when we know that it eventually isn't going to be balanced, that, I worry that we may not be actually telling folks all the truth as we know it.
But it's a very good attempt at that. We know that when things have to come up, we'll do them. We know what it costs to get behind in teacher salaries. We know what it costs to get behind in maintenance on our facilities. And you just can't afford to let that happen because it's extremely difficult to catch up. So I think these are all real good efforts. So that was the end of our agenda. Do you have anything else for us? You need to talk about any upcoming events or anything like that?
Sir, we'll be getting information out to you guys regarding the welcome back and any other pertinent events you might be interested in. Welcoming back faculty throughout the district and your districts. We do have our regular meeting on the 20th next week as scheduled. At that time, I'll be bringing an evaluation packet to you guys to review. We'll have the evaluation in the executive session in August at our regular meeting.
As always, if you have anything that you need to ask about school business, get a hold of Mr. Toscano. If you need anything else, get a hold of me. And we'll do what we need to do. Have a meeting next Thursday evening in the same facility with the same wonderful folks. And we'll move forward with that.
What time's that meeting?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30. And we'll get you packets and everything. We need to sit down and talk with you, get you back up to speed on stuff. Not really a new board member orientation, but maybe a reorientation for a prior board member. I didn't say prior board member. Maybe some of the new policies that have come into effect, those kind of things, get you signed up with your board vote, your electronic stuff, all of those kind of things. Okay. So Mr. Castan is going to be calling you and trying to set up something for y'all to get together. So we're expecting that phone call. And we'll get moving forward with that. Well, we're not glad to have you. Looking forward to it. Anybody else have anything? No,
I was just bringing this up. The reason I was asking about the buses and everything like that, because I work for VMS Transit. And just a couple of buses are over $1 million. So I was looking at that. So
We're not buying vehicles, but they're still very expensive.
yes.
much more frugal than that. We don't have that bottomless checking.
Yeah. So,
All right, with that, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. We have a motion, is there a second? All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.